You know, there's only so much time in any given day, and I still have so many videos to make talking about the betas for iOS 16, iPadOS 16, and macOS Ace Ventura, but instead, I got to spend 3 days fixing a problem that was caused by something I didn't even want in the first place. So today, I'm going to be sharing my experiences with Windows 11, why I hate it with a burning passion, how I got it in the first place, and why I moved back to Windows 10, and what happened when I moved back to Windows 10. So we're going off script today. I just need to make this video to get it out there. Let's get started. And just to be clear, this is my personal experience with Windows 11. So if you're currently using Windows 11 and you love it, good for you. I wish I was you, because at this point, it would have saved me the trouble and I wouldn't have to be making this video talking about why I hate it with the fiery passion of 1,000 suns. But with that being said, if you're using Windows 11, don't feel bad about using it. Good for you. I'm glad you like it. I hate it. We'll talk about why now. So to start with, why did I have Windows 11 in the first place? Well, it was the beta version originally, and I finally got my hands on the finished version, which wasn't any better. In fact, the finished version of Windows 11 was about as stable, actually less stable, than the first revision beta of macOS Ace Ventura that I've been running for the past week. So yeah, it wasn't off to a great start to begin with. But I got the beta, and I didn't remember having signed up for Microsoft's Insider program for Windows. Come to find out, previously, a few months back, when I had been beta testing the multiplayer for Halo Infinite, I had enrolled in Microsoft's Insider program on my Xbox. But guess what? When you sign that up, it attaches it to your Microsoft account and syncs it across your devices, because just like another really popular company who's been syncing things across your devices for almost a decade and a half at this point and has been doing a much better job of it and doesn't encroach on your privacy and put things on your computer you don't fucking want, Microsoft did that, and it's so great. Yeah, so I had the Insider program, and for the Insider program, what I wasn't aware of is that it shows the Windows 11 update, or at least it did when I did it, as a feature update for Windows 10. That's how the beta presented itself. And I am very diligent about running updates on Windows because I don't use my PC that often. In fact, it gets turned on for gaming, and if I have some harebrained idea that I want to make a video where I'm doing some sort of video work on my PC to see how it does, I'll fire it up for that, and occasionally I use it to digitize Blu-rays. But 9 times out of 10, when there's an update, I run it because I don't run the PC that often, so I'm aware that it's just going to have updates. That's how these things work. So I ran the feature update, and when the computer came back on, my start bar was in the middle, and everything looks different. Great. And you might say, well, why didn't you just go back? Well, there's 2 reasons. Number one, this is kind of my fault. I'm a bit of a techie guy, and I figured I have the new version of Windows 11. Why not give it a shot? You know, everybody's talking about it. It's a new thing. Maybe I can make a video on it. But I use my PC so infrequently that I didn't really have time to make a video about it because other things were going on. And on top of that, I really am not an expert in the field of Windows because I haven't used Windows on a regular basis for a couple years now. I use it for work, and I use it for gaming, and for literally everything else, I'm on something with an Apple on the back. That's just how it is. So overall, I just didn't feel like I could make a quality video about Windows 11 because I don't use Windows as a whole very much, so I wouldn't know exactly what to compare previously, but guess what? There's enough different that I'm gonna do it now. Well, later in the video. I gotta kind of keep things on track even though I'm ranting. So yeah, the first reason is 100% my fault. I should have just gone back once I realized that I was not going to actually be using it or doing a video on it, but I didn't because, again, I'm a techie guy, I like to try out new things, and I kind of let that get the better of me with Windows 11 despite all the red flags. Second reason, though, was really stupid, which is the fact that when I went to unenroll from the Insider program, they put you on a list, a waiting list, to unenroll you from the Insider program. It's not an instant thing. You have to wait. Whereas when I was doing beta testing on my Mac, and I was doing beta testing for Monterey, which was already out, but I was testing some revision updates, all I had to do was say unenroll, it removed the profile, and then pulled in whatever version was the current finished version, and put that on the Mac, and I was done. But I ended up having to wait almost 2 months to get unenrolled from the Microsoft Insider program for Windows. And even then, that's not a downgrade. That is just keeping you on Windows 11 with whatever the current finished version is. And I use finished with the most egregious of air quotes. And really, I didn't think of my PC as mission critical because overall, I don't use it a lot, like I've said multiple times now. But it is kind of mission critical because I stream off of that. And if you want to follow my streams, you can check out my Twitch channel down below. And if you watched my stream last Sunday, I was heated. We don't know how to make an operating system. We just know how to make a pile of garbage we charge $200 for. Because Windows is bought by so many people across the globe, it's everywhere. God, I would run Linux if I could. Or I'd just run everything on my Mac and not have to deal with this shit. Because it was just unusable. And it's not the first time I've had these bugs, but it was the point where I was just done. I was finished with these bugs, I'm over it, and I just couldn't take it anymore. The most common bug that I ran into when streaming was a multitasking issue, which, you know, if I remember correctly, I think that Windows has had multitasking since like, what was it? It's pretty recent, like, the 90s? So yeah, some single core 400 megahertz Pentium nothing could multitask with Windows 95 back in the day, but an 8-core 8700K with 48 gigabytes of RAM, all SSDs to feed this data, and a 1070 graphics card. Oh no, you can't multitask on that. No, what are you? That's crazy. You can't multitask with that. That's way too little. Like literally, as soon as any 3D task came on the screen, my streaming software would start to run at like 2 FPS. My Chrome browser would either go completely black or constantly freeze up and crash. And it got to the point where I was literally posting things on the chat because it was the only window that was working. And even then it wouldn't work all the time. Like I had another instance where the only way I could check chat is during a loading screen because the loading screen would take all the 3D assets off the main screen so that Chrome could have a chance to breathe and load things up again. And then as soon as 3D images went back on the screen, boom, everything crashed. And before you say check your drivers, I was running the latest drivers for everything. I spent an entire day scrubbing the drivers off this machine and putting fresh drivers back. I even went and did a full keep my files restore of Windows 11, and the bugs consistently stayed and were exactly the same as they were before I did the full scrub. So no, it was not a driver issue. But bugs aside, some of the things that I already hate about Windows 10 are even worse with Windows 11. So after having spent $120 back in the day to buy a copy of Windows 10, that amount of money still isn't enough for Papa Satya to be happy because you still get ads. And I'm going to call them ads. I don't care if they're Microsoft suggestions, they're ads. When you ran an update in Windows 10, the first thing it does when you come up to the screen isn't to say, here's the new features. It says, hey, you want to try OneDrive? No, Microsoft, I don't. I game on this PC. Hey, you want to make sure that you're using the best browser, Microsoft Edge? No, Microsoft, I only game on this PC. Well, hey, what about Microsoft 360? You got Word, PowerPoint, Excel. Again, Microsoft, I stream on this PC. I don't need any of your Office because I do my real work on a Mac. So yeah, Windows 10 was already really bad about that. Like I already paid good money for your software. I don't need to be advertised to on something I already paid money for. But Windows 11 stepped it up to the next level. So not only did you still get the same stupid asking you, hey, you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to do this, you want to do that, but on top of that, when you, like most sane people do, change your default browser from Edge to Chrome or Firefox or Opera, on Windows 10, to its credit, you change the default for web browser, and that's it. And the only downside is that whenever you go into settings, it says, hey, you're not on the best browser, but you can usually just ignore that. On Windows 11, when you change the default browser, it just sets it to web pages. You then have to go and select every single possible file extension that could possibly be open in a web browser and change it to your preferred browser, otherwise it's going to open in Edge. So if you forgot to tell it to open a .web or a .html file in Chrome, it's going to open it in Edge, even though Chrome is your default browser. You, Microsoft. That is the dumbest shit I have ever seen. The only time best browser and Edge go in the same sentence is when somebody says, hey, did you know that Edge is the best browser for downloading a different browser. So that was really irritating, and I only discovered that when I went to open an image that came through as like a web format, and it opened up Edge, and I thought that maybe I had forgotten to put Chrome as my browser, or maybe it set the default again, but no, I just hadn't set it to the default for 12 different file extensions. And actually, before we move on from that, Windows 10 is now worse when it comes to advertising because it's telling you that you have one update, which I like the toolbar at the top of the settings they have now where it tells you a few things. I don't need OneDrive to tell me. I don't care how many Microsoft points I have, and I don't care that I'm not using Edge, but I do like the fact that it tells you how many updates are sitting, but now it permanently tells you that there's one update. And you know what that one update is? Windows 11. That's not an upgrade. That's a downgrade. That is a downgrade to the deepest pit of hell. I'm gonna have an aneurysm making this video, I swear to God. So all that stuff, the constant barrage of ads for other Microsoft, the fact that I spent so much time removing default apps that I didn't need from Windows 10, only for them to come back when I downloaded Windows 11, and the user crippling bugs that kept your computer from doing basic things like multitasking, something you've had since the 90s. All those things together just drove me through the roof, and I finally hit the end of the road for me. I was done after the Sunday stream, and I stripped everything out of my computer. I took all the data off my drive because I had a backup, or so I thought, foreshadowing, and I put a fresh copy of Windows 10 on it. Oh, and I actually forgot to mention, I bought a USB card for my computer because I was running out of USB ports because I plug a lot of shit into my computer. And I literally had to plug in one USB device at a time in order to make sure that the USB controller software that Windows 11 uses didn't shit itself and just dump all my USB devices. And sometimes when I would boot up, it just wouldn't see my USB devices. Guess what was fixed when I went back to Windows 10? So yeah, I just ripped every non-essential component out of my computer, from expansion cards to extra hard drives I didn't need at the moment. Everything just ripped out. I had the processor, the board, the RAM, the graphics, and the SSD, and I just put a fresh copy of Windows on there from the Windows 10 USB that I just threw on the floor. And I get everything loaded up, and I go to access my network drive. And my last update was from December of 2021. Now, at the time of recording this video, I've been using Windows 11 since late December 2021, all the way out until just a few days ago in June. Where were my backups? It's funny you ask. Either because Windows 11 was a beta when I first got it, or because Windows 11 was just Windows 11, or because Microsoft just doesn't know how to do shit that the industry has been doing for years on Macs and even on Linux. When I moved from Windows 10 to Windows 11, the integrated backup software included with Microsoft Windows turned off. And because it's such a, to its credit, seamless background task that I never had to think about because it just did it when I turned my PC on the few times I used it for streaming, I didn't think to check it because I've been going with Time Machine on my Mac since it was introduced, and it has never turned off between updates. And maybe that's the problem, is I'm just used to quality of life stuff on the Mac side. I'm used to going from macOS Big Sur to Monterey on my Mac and not having to worry about suddenly having to completely rebuild a backup because this is a different operating system. It's still the same computer. It shouldn't matter if it's running Windows 10 to Windows 11. Just make a new image and say, hey, this computer with this same IP address it's had since it was turned on back when this guy built it just has a new piece of software on it. Maybe I should make a new image for it, but maybe I shouldn't just turn it off entirely and go, he doesn't need a backup. December's soon enough for him. It's not like he's done hundreds of different things on it since then. At that point, I was just so thankful that I keep all my games and all my other big things on a separate set of drives, because if I had lost all of that data, I would have lost my shit. Oh, and actually, fun fact, after I did this, I looked up if there was a cleaner way to go back to Windows 10 that I didn't think about, and there is a go back button built into Windows 11, but from what I understand, it only works for the first 10 days. Well, guess what? The first 10 days would have been long gone because I had to wait to get unenrolled from your dumbass insider program to begin with. So even if I wanted to use the go back button, I couldn't because I was waiting for you idiots to unenroll me from your insider program. Thanks, guys. So after all of that, I'm back on Windows 10. I will not be using Windows 11 for as long as possible. Hell, if I can, I'm going to be doing the Windows XP on the old person computer where it's just going to live there until I can't use it anymore. Because as soon as I went back to Windows 10, everything except your ads stopped being a problem. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still irritating as when Edge pops up telling you that you should try it out or that you should use OneDrive or try Office 360, or when you have to spend an hour going through and uninstalling a bunch of useless shit on software that you bought because you wanted to put a clean install of Windows on your machine. Yeah, that's still irritating. But I only have to deal with it once every few months for an update, or in my case with the other bloatware, once when I install the software, and then I just remove it all and it's gone. And yeah, that is still super irritating. But the nice thing is, the actual core functionality of my PC, the things that I expected to do every day, like, oh, I don't know, really complicated stuff like detecting USB devices, booting without flickering the screen 12 times, or, oh, what about multitasking? The thing I keep saying came out in the 90s because it did, and it's been so stupid, simple, and a given on every computer. Hell, iPadOS 16 introduced multitasking, and it's less buggy than what Windows 11 was, but guess what? I got Windows 10, all that shit worked again. So, as I said at the start, my personal experience with Windows 11, it was a hot pile of shit, and I am not going to use it. I will, as I said, stick with Windows 10 until I cannot use it anymore, or until something else is out, and I unintentionally get forced into it because I want to try something new on the Xbox and all the accounts are linked. So yeah, my experience wasn't a great one. Going back to the old software, immediately a better experience, tainted by the fact that for some reason my backup was turned off when I moved from Windows 10 to Windows 11, which was something that no computer I have ever used has ever done before. And lastly, like I said at the start, if you use Windows 11 and you're enjoying it, I am genuinely happy for you. In fact, I am overjoyed that you are enjoying using Windows 11 because it's the experience I wish I had. I love trying out new things, and this is one of the worst new things I have ever tried. And as excited as I was for Project Volterra, if it's shipping with Windows 11, which is already shit, and they're gonna run it on ARM, which in and of itself is a developer beta, that hardware is cool, but you could not pay me enough to go back to Windows 11 on an untried platform. Right here, Microsoft. So yeah, those are my experiences with Windows 11. Thank you for sitting through this rant. Again, sorry if I raised your blood pressure. My blood pressure is usually fairly low, but this is the highest it's been in a while because I was just so infuriated by losing so much time to make content. I'm not even mad that I lost some of the data on my PC because honestly, I use it so infrequently that what was lost was not too much of consequence. I'm smart enough to keep the important stuff on other drives. I'm more pissed off about the fact that I lost productivity time because I need that to be on lock when I want to go and stream something, and it wasn't from the instant I put Windows 10 on that thing. So, or Windows 11. I'm losing it. I'm going to end it here. I'm done ranting. Thank you for watching this rant video. Sorry if, again, I raised some of y'all's blood pressure, but let me know your thoughts, again, in the comments. Let me know. Are you using Windows 11? Do you like it? Are you going to stick with Windows 10? Did my opinion change your opinion on Windows 11, or is this something that you've also experienced? I'm starting to get indigestion. Jesus Christ. Let me know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe. I'm not usually this angry or ranty, but this was just me blowing off some steam. It's Tuesday. I'm going to go drink. So enjoy your rest of your day, guys, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Twitch down below, like I said. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to be there and have a good one.